Poland Daily Business. Welcome to the show. And Paweł Rakowski, our correspondent from Middle East, is our guest. Welcome to the show. Paweł, the Middle East, obviously, there's lots of countries, Turkey, Israel, Lebanon, and so on, so on. Afghanistan, as recently, although this is a Central Asia, not technically not the Middle East. But the country that is focal and that's pivotal, so to speak, is Iran. And we are about the great change regarding this country, aren't we?
Of course, Iran is a major playmaker of all of the events in the Middle East and even further. We can say that its influence leads from the Kabul in Afghanistan via Iraq to Yemen to Bahrain to Syria to Lebanon to Gaza Strip. It's like it's
Poland has its problems now with European Union, with Vladimir Putin. Lots of fronts are open, and actually, the Iranian perseverance shows that it's worth to stand your ground rather than yield.
Well, of course, Iran. Well, it was great power in the past, and it's gonna be a great power once again in the future, and probably nothing will stop them. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a Ayatollah regime power, but these are the facts. We cannot change the history. We cannot change the geography. We cannot change the possibilities that this country has. We can see that in the recent months they were very active on the sea, on the Persian Gulf, on the Red Sea, on the ocean, on the Mediterranean Sea also. They have sent the fuel tankers to Lebanon, which was kind of the demonstration of its power, of its possibilities, because Iran is blocked from all the transportation of fuel, but they passed
almost right is controlled by the United States.
Yes, but they passed the Americans in the Persian Gulf. They passed Americans on the Red Sea, and they passed Israel on the Mediterranean Sea, and they have reached Lebanon, which made a big profit for the pro-Iranian militia Hezbollah, which is now had big problems from the last 2 years because it's responsible for the crisis, responsible for the Beirut blast in the harbor last year. But the Lebanese pro-Iranians, they are just like showing that they are only effective in the collapsed time. The sending fuel to Lebanon, it's also kind of the putting a big stamp on the Mediterranean Sea, and it's kind of pushing back times to the 331st year before the crisis, when Alexander the Great came and sieged Phoenicia and sieged Tyre, ancient, and pushed back the Persians from the Mediterranean Sea. Well, after those years, they came back, and we can see that Iranians are essential for the American policy nowadays. Americans need to redeploy its forces from Iraq. They will repeat Kabul mistakes, or they will repeat, or even they will repeat the Beirut 1983 mistake when the pro-Iranian organization struck the American forces compound in Beirut, where there were 300 casualties. So Americans, they don't want to make this. Well, at least in theory, they don't want to repeat this mistake. They need to make a contact with Iran. They need to make a deal with Iran. And the Iranian price is only one: nuclear deal. That's why the.
So they want to have nuclear armament. Yes,
they want
this
to
is what we're talking about. Not about the nuclear energy, but about the.
Officially, Iranian dissidents say that Ayatollah Khomeini said that nuclear bomb is haram. In Islam, it means that it's prohibited. Therefore, they are listening to Khomeini teaching, and they cannot do anything about that. But possibilities are always possibilities. This is Middle East mentality. On the other side, we see that all of the European countries are standing in the line of the outside Iranian business councils, because Iranians, when there's gonna be blockade ended, there's gonna be a lot of fuel, a lot of cash, and the Iranians are very hungry for the everything what's possible from the outside. Especially
Putin will not be pleased with the lower price for oil.
Well, of course, but we have to understand that Iran and Russia they contradict in many aspects. They have a big problem inside Syria. They have they are their counterparts in many aspects because they're the same resources. Also, the history. Yes, the parts of Iran was occupied by the Soviet Union during the Second World War. Therefore, we see that Iran, it has a bright future, which is very unfortunate for the Iranian itself living in Iran because of the regime. When the regime has money, it has a power. But unfortunately, there is no Donald Trump in Washington, so we have to live in the realities that the Ayatollah is going to have a more influence in the global affairs. But these are the facts, and we cannot change anything about that.
Paweł Rakowski, covering Middle East for Poland Daily, was our guest tonight in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that was it for our show. We'll be back tomorrow, so please join in at the same time.